Now that you've tasted the sickly brew of that ugly crone, the old witch, and are thoroughly nauseated, it's my turn. Here's a tale from my collection here in the crypt that I'm sure will make your hair stand on end. So come close to your old crypt keeper. I want to watch your faces pale from the yarn I call the basket. My story has its beginnings on the outskirts of a small town. A breathless boy rushes up to a group of children huddled over an engrossing game of marbles. He's coming again, he's coming. Does he have a basket with him? Do you ever see him without it? The wide-eyed, expectant faces of children all turn in the direction of the strange figure walking towards them. On his right shoulder he carried a round wicker basket. See? What'd I tell you? He never goes anywhere without that basket. Always carries it on his right shoulder, too. He's crazy. Shh, he'll hear you. The man carrying the wicker basket comes up to the small group of children and smiles. Hello, kids. Hello, Mr. Gabez. What you got in that basket this time, Mr. Gabez? Yeah, tell us. Mr. Gabez, still holding the basket on his right shoulder, smiles down at the shining, upturned faces around him. This time, children, this time my basket is filled with gold coins. Pirate gold. I found them buried in my cellar. Golly, really? Gee. Mr. Gabez continues on down the road, whistling a tune. The children watch him as he goes. Boy, he really tells some tall stories. Tetched in the head, I say. I never saw him without a basket. The squeaky screen door of the town general store shrieks a warning as Mr. Gabez enters. The laughter and talk of the men around the pot-bellied stove die suddenly, and there's a moment of awkward silence. Comin' to order your victuals, Mr. Gabez? Yes, George. Got my list right here. As Mr. Gabez turns to go, he looks towards the silent men seated around the stove. Afternoon, gentlemen. Howdy, Gabez. Howdy. Afternoon. Mr. Gabez stands for a moment, then shrugs and leaves. The slam of the screen door is the signal for talk among the men to begin once again. Crazy galoot, always toting that basket. Tried to strike up a conversation, he did. Yep, don't catch me talking to no lunatic. I wonder why he carries that basket around with him. He's crazy, that's why. Ain't I right, George? Sure are, Luke. See this here slip of paper? It's his victuals order. You know what I see every time I deliver an order up to his place? He always answers the door carrying that basket on his shoulder. Imagine that, carrying it around his house even. He sure is loco. Yes, that's the way my story begins. That's what's been going on in this town for years and years, even longer than the children can remember. Vincent Gabez has been lugging the wicker basket around. What's in it? Patience, kiddies. You'll find out. So, on with my tale. The next time Mr. Gabez comes into town, he plods along slowly, dragging his feet. But his familiar basket is perched on his shoulder. Say, look at Mr. Gabez. He looks awful. He's pale. He must be sick. Must be getting tired of carrying his basket. Gee, do you think we ought to kid him today? But Mr. Gabez, in spite of his fatigued appearance, stops as usual and smiles down at the children around him. Hello, kids. Hi, Mr. Gabez. Hello, Mr. Gabez. What's wrong, kids? Cat got your tongues? Isn't anyone going to ask me what I've got in my basket this time? See, Mr. Gabez, you don't look so good. Ain't you feeling well, Mr. Gabez? Mr. Gabez is silent for a moment. Then he shrugs and continues on toward the general store. See? He got such a funny look when I asked him if he felt well. He must be sick. Gee, maybe he's gonna die. If he does, we'll all find out what he got in the basket. Aw, cut it out. That ain't funny. Yeah, that poor guy can't help it. It's a phobia or something with him. Maybe he don't trust anybody, and he carries his money with him, instead of putting it in a bank. The usual silence greets Vincent Gabez as he enters the general store. Here's my list, George. Say, you sick, Gabez? You look pretty bad. I don't feel well, George. Guess I'll stop by and see Doc Hawkins. You better. When he leaves the store, Mr. Gabez crosses over to Doc Hawkins' house. Dr. Hawkins, I must see you. Come in, Vincent. Come in. After an hour, Vincent comes out of the doctor's house and goes on home. A week passes. Then, one day, hey look, here comes Mr. Gabez. He looks different. He ain't pale no more. Gee, it's all better. He ain't gonna die after all. As Mr. Gabez approaches the children, they gather around him smiling, chattering, tugging at his coat. What's in your basket today, Mr. Gabez? Tell us, Mr. Gabez. Out of my way, brats. Ow! The children that Mr. Gabez had struck begins to cry. The others stand dumbfounded, watching Mr. Gabez disappear into the general store. So, he hit me. Did you see his eyes? The look in his eyes? Hey, the basket. He had it on his left shoulder. I'm gonna tell my old man. And inside the general store, what's wrong? Am I poison or something? Why doesn't someone say something? What are you all so quiet about? You'd better give me your list, Mr. Gabez, and go, before you start trouble. But the next morning, the townsfolk were all whispering about the terrible thing that had happened during the night. That's right, happened last night. Somebody robbed a grave in the burying grounds. The body's gone. I'll bet it was Gabez. He seemed worse than ever yesterday. Don't jump to conclusions, Luke. The second night, another grave is robbed. I tell you, it's Gabez. He's gone completely loco. We oughta string him up. Hey, I just remembered something. Gabez shipped out a box yesterday at the Railway Express office where I work. It was pretty big. About 6 feet long, like a coffin. Yes, and he's got another one down there today. Let's go down and take a look. Maybe it ain't gone out. Later, at the express office. Good Lord, a body. Let's get him. Let's lynch him. Soon an angry mob is moving up the main street. Men with murder in their hearts. A lynch mob. Somebody stop off and get Doc Hawkins. Yeah, he ought to be in on this. I'll get him. The doctor opens the door to the frantic knocking of Zeke Blackman. Come on, Doc. We're gonna lynch Vincent Gabez. He's the one been robbing the graves and stealing the bodies. No, you can't lynch him. You'd be killing an innocent man. What are you talking about, Doc? There are 2 Vincent Gabezes. 2? What in the blazes do you mean? Vincent Gabez was born with 2 heads. When I told his mother, she refused to accept him. Told me to do away with the child. The old midwife who helped me deliver him volunteered to take him. Please, doctor. I'm an old woman. Let me take care of him. Don't kill him. All right, Martha. But you'll have to keep it a secret. You know the rest. Vincent grew up under Martha Gabez's gentle care, and she kept him hidden from the townsfolk until he had grown to manhood. One day, she sent for me. I'm dying, Dr. Hawkins. Who will take care of Vincent? He's old enough to take care of himself now, Martha. After she died, I worked out a plan of how Vincent could appear on the streets without letting anyone know of his other head. Do you think it'll work, Doctor? Of course, Vincent. Now, remember, you carry that basket wherever you go out. It hides your other head. Vincent had always had control over his other head. He was a good man, Vincent, but his other head was evil. Dr. Hawkins, look at me. I haven't slept a wink in 4 nights. My other head is trying to take over my body. You must fight it, Vincent. But Vincent couldn't fight it. Finally, the other head won out and gained control of Vincent's body. Out of my way. Ow! The other head is the real criminal. The other head is the evildoer. But you can't kill it without killing Vincent. What'll we do, Doc? The boys must be there by now. Zeke is right. At that moment, the others are approaching the Vincent Gabez's house. Suddenly, the door swings open. The men stop in their tracks, horrified. What the? Good Lord, he's got 2. The basket! That's why he carried the basket. Indeed, a 2-headed Vincent stands in the doorway, confronting the men. What do you men want? Please, for God's sake, kill us! Kill us! I can't fight him any longer. The lynching party just stands, each man rooted to the ground by the horror of what he sees. Well, if none of you will kill us, I will! Stop, you fool! I command you to stop! Summoning all his power, the good head of Vincent Gabez gains control of the body, snatches a shotgun from a terrified onlooker, and pulls the trigger. 2 shots ring out, and the 2-headed figure sprawls on the ground, dead. And that's my story, kiddies. I hope this little tale has taught you a lesson. There's only one sure way to settle an argument if you've got 2 heads, just below one of your tops. Now, I return you to the old witch.